All right, and welcome back to another edition of the Wrestlers Dozen. I'm Randy.
I'm Jim.
And David's here.
Whoa!
Hey, welcome back.
How are you?
Super.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Christmas has arrived early.
Well, this is your re-debut, but
Yes.
but this week we're actually going to look at wrestlers' debuts and which one had the most impact. So we're not looking at like their best career after their debut. We're just looking at the specific moment and see who had the best debut. What stands out to you?
Impact, crowd reaction right away. And, well, obviously not follow-up was the debut, but yeah, just as long as it feels special. Can't just strike up music that you don't know and hope the crowd reacts. It helps to know somebody, but, or in Brock's case, kick someone's ass right away.
No joke. What about you?
Yeah. Same thing David said. Just the moment that it happens, it's something you remember for years to come. You're not you didn't expect it. Maybe the music is something different, but it strikes up an emotion or something. You just out of the blue, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really weird because with some of these, we knew the name somewhere else, so their debut was impactful at that moment. Some of these where you don't know the name, I feel like it became impactful because of their career, but they had a really good debut that we went, oh, okay, we'll take notice. And that actually starts right here with our first person back in 1990 when The Undertaker debuted. And he technically debuted November 19th as Kane the Undertaker at a taping of Superstars, so that goes off the list, right? No, technically that aired after Survivor Series, which was on the 22nd, where he was part of Team Ted DiBiase and came out with Brother Love of all people.
Makes perfect sense.
Made a crazy impact, of course. His tombstones were gross back then.
Oh, yeah.
They were terrible. What do you guys
Coco.
think? What do you guys think of The Undertaker's debut?
Like for his, because on that interview with Steve Austin, he was talking like you can tell the crowd felt something. Like this wasn't like a normal gimmick. It was like this guy looked scary, was scary. Even as a kid, he was my first bad guy I liked though. Like when he beat Hogan the next year, I loved it and I felt weird doing that. But yeah, when he debuted Coco taking that tombstone. That's probably why I got in the Hall of Fame. Pity for that. But yeah, it was great.
What about you?
Like Duke saying, it's you don't know who he is, but most of the characters back then were super colorful, and for him to come out in all black, very little color, the purple gloves at the time, I mean, you knew he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
And even then you knew he was going to be somebody to watch for years to come.
And as you said, the crowd reaction was great, but they couldn't understand this. But Roddy Piper on commentary sold it like $1 million. I think really put him over. Next one, I'm not super sure of. I know they had a great career, but the Dudley Boys in the WWE, their first, they were on like Heat or something on August 31st, but technically they show up on SmackDown on September 2nd, 1999. They come out with giant 2x4s and they attack the APA and Edge and Christian. This is kind of in the middle of the first ECW invasion, so it worked with the storyline and just continue that. And of course, Jerry Lawler's going nuts about, these stupid ECW guys.
Yeah.
One of the few times he actually wore the tie-dye in the WWE, but what do you guys think?
Like I honestly didn't even remember their debut much from it because I think I was a big ECW guy, so I was like, oh, they're going to blow this already because after a couple weeks, so I'd forgotten the debut where they beat some ass. But yeah, with the tie-dye, kind of a good thing they switched that actually, looking back at it, because it was really kind of goofy.
But they were goofy. I
Yeah.
mean, at that
They
point,
did the
Bubba Ray was
stuttering.
still doing the stutter. I'm glad they got rid of that and became serious by the time they were doing everything with Hardy and Edge and Christian. But
The tie-dye and the bibbed overalls and yeah, no, it definitely, I mean, again, it's one of those ones where the name you knew but you didn't quite see him. The impact of the debut wasn't huge, but you knew the name.
I didn't know
From
the name.
ECW.
I didn't know what the hell ECW was back then. Let's go back 1994. Again, it'll be interesting to see what we decide is the actual debut. Hulk Hogan was signed in June of 1994 to WCW. This is his WCW debut. And they had that big giant parade and all of that crap. But his technical debut match was at Bash at the Beach as he took on Ric Flair in that dream match that, for whatever reason, the WWF didn't want to give us. On actual TV, they did it on live events, and it didn't get over with the crowd. Okay.
Nobody liked Hogan and Flair.
Nope.
Bums.
No. It was a fine match, but what do you guys think of his debut?
It was good, actually. Because I remember that got me into... I watched some WCW as a kid, Saturday night, and I remember hearing Hogan was going to come over to him. I was like, oh, wow, really? That's amazing. And I think I probably tried to watch this on Channel 99 also on Scramble Vision. But I even watched it back when the network came out. I was like, the crowd loved it. And crazy how they turned on him later on. But
they went, oh, he's the same stupid gimmick. I wonder if cable companies are going to come after us for as many times as we've admitted to watching Scramble Vision. What about you?
Hogan showing up. I remember the parade thing. I don't remember seeing Bash at the Beach as far as the pay-per-view goes because we weren't very big pay-per-view people back in the day. But I remember him being WWF forever, and then him showing up in WCW was huge. It wasn't somebody you saw very often. I remember watching both, surprisingly, because I was a Sting fan back in the day when I was 4, when I think this probably happened, 4 or 6, something like that. So it was, yeah. I'm a pup.
Out of these three, what do we got? Top tier, bottom tier, middle tier? What are we feeling? I'm saying Dudley Boyz is bottom.
Yeah,
easily.
I almost think Undertaker might be in top.
Top one. That was a good debut.
Yeah, for a heel. Because like heels, it's hard to debut someone and have an impact.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about Hogan?
Hogan, I'd put at the bottom of the second tier for right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go 1996 and a little cheating here. We combined 2 debuts, but it was The Outsiders. May 27th, 1996. Scott Hall, who had been wrestling in WWF as Razor Ramon, shows up. This was before the internet was big, so nobody knew this was happening. Shows up randomly in the middle of a match that looking back on it, thank God he showed up because I couldn't believe that was an actual match on television.
Not a Mike Enos fan?
Trivia question, who were the 2 wrestlers in the ring?
Mike Enos was one, and crap, who was the other? I remember mean Mike Enos.
If it was Mike Enos, he didn't go by him. Mike Enos at the time. Yeah, man.
I had not a clue.
How about the Mauler?
Oh, the Mauler.
And Steve Dahl.
Steve Dahl.
That's
the match that he interrupted.
Good old Steve Dahl.
That seems like that was actually something you see WWE put into play now almost. It's like when somebody shows up.
Yeah.
It's like it's 2 of the really bottom, like mid-tier jobbers.
That's true, but I don't even remember
in.
Steve Dahl and the Mauler.
No.
And my favorite part is he comes down, he comes over the railing, grabs a mic, and they just leave.
Yeah.
He doesn't come in and attack him or anything. So you could have done it with anybody.
Yeah.
But they just go, oh, never mind. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, Kevin Nash debuted because Scott Hall said he had an extra surprise and all of that stuff. This was obviously the beginning of the Monday Night Wars. It really put Nitro on the map as they hadn't even been on TV for a year at this point. And they got sued because they made it way too realistic.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I loved it. It was because, like we said before, we didn't have the Monday Night Wars. We had Nitro, then Raw. So I was watching this, and like we said, it was the 2 jobbers, and all of a sudden Scott Hall shows up, and it's like, what is Razor doing on here? And it just felt awesome. Even just talking about it now, I got the chills again remembering it. And then Nash showing up later on, it felt like they should not be there. The crowd reacted that way, but loved it at the same time. But it was way different than anything we'd ever seen.
Yeah. If I remember right, I need to go back and actually watch the clip. But I think it was great on production because you see him in the background coming down the stairs in camera sight. And so you see the crowd react for a good while before they actually put a hard camera on him. So that was really good. What about you?
Yeah, I remember Scott Hall coming down, but it was even cooler to see Kevin Nash on there because you see Scott Hall comes up to the counter and everybody's like, I thought you said you're bringing a big surprise. Where's the big surprise? And out of nowhere, you just see big ass Kevin Nash step up on stage.
Camera zoom out.
And he's like, yep, right behind you. Turn around. And he turns, and Bischoff is so small compared to everybody else, so he just kind of pans up like that, and that's all you like. That image alone there was huge for me.
Spoilers: Bischoff brought him in. Let's stay in WCW. September 22nd, 1997, an episode of Nitro where Hugh Morris was defeated by the debuting Goldberg. What kind of looked like a throwaway match at the time. What I love the most about this debut is he mostly dominated, like Goldberg does in most of his matches. But after the fact, you know, the announcers are just putting him over huge. He's like, what is this big guy? And he just did this whole big giant suplex to the giant Hugh Morris. And what's going on? And Gene Okerlund goes out to interview him, and he just looks at him and walks off.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, a Stone Cold ripoff to a point, but just it was a good debut. I mean, obviously a fantastic debut year. I don't know about the debut night.
Yeah, it was. I remember watching it too, and I just thought, all right, cool. Hugh Morris is gonna win a match. Then all of a sudden, he gets his ass kicked by this guy, and I was like, who is this? That was an awesome finisher too. So it stuck. Like, it seemed like the crowd felt it too. Like, this guy is something. Because he didn't say a word. All he did was just wrestle and showed fire and peace. And the rest was... He did all right after that, too.
No.
He had a small run.
Yeah.
Goldberg coming in. I mean, big dude. The only thing they knew is his name's Bill Goldberg.
Yep.
That's all they could tell you at the stage. They couldn't tell you anything else about this guy. Huge dude. Quick. Does a backflip. Like, you don't...
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And then kind of just comes in and spears him, hits him with the jackhammer, and then he just walks out.
Were they touting him as an ex-Atlanta Falcon at that point?
I think they might have mentioned it, if not then, the next week or two.
Yeah, I was going to say it was very shortly after that they brought it up. But yeah, he just... Again, you don't... It's kind of like The Undertaker. You don't know who he is, but you can feel something special is going to come of this.
All right, let's stay in the same year. In October, over on the WWE side, as Kane debuts at Bad Blood in Your House as he interfered in the Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Might be the greatest debut. They built it up really well with Paul Bearer saying that Undertaker, your brother is alive, and he has the same name as you used to have that we don't talk about anymore. And he comes out with the whole red lights. Which, I hope by the time this airs that they don't do that with Bray Wyatt anymore. They do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's horrible to watch those matches.
But he came out in the red lights. His first few matches were in the red lights, and they were smartly to get rid of it. But just ripping off the door of the cage, which they built really well because they had gone through the door. So you showed the door working, and at some point, pulled the pins or whatever so he can rip the door out. But I love this debut.
Oh, yeah. It was epic because I just remember hearing Vince say, it's got to be Kane. And the match itself was epic enough.
Yes.
It was like one of the greatest stories in a match with the Hell in a Cell. HBK getting his ass beat here and there. And I think this was another Scramble Vision one that I watched. And all of a sudden you hear the music hit and it's like, oh my God, it is Kane. And Undertaker killing HBK all match long, and now he lost. I remember being pissed because HBK. And once again, I think we said it on a prior episode. Kane is why the screw job happens.
Fair enough. Well, we're not throwing this card like I threw Miss Elizabeth because she started the
the
finger poker too. But what about you?
The one thing that stands out for me with that debut is just the build up to it. Paul Bearer telling the story, everything building up to that. And anytime I hear Kane's music, the only thing I hear now is Paul Bearer's voice is, Kane's alive! Kane's alive! And so, I mean, even before he even made his debut, that memory alone sticks in your brain. So it was a fantastic debut, like you said. Comes in, interferes in the match, ends up building up to a great story with Undertaker. Just epic.
Who would have thought a year before he was a dentist?
Yeah.
Top tier. Obviously for Kane. What do you guys... Outsiders?
I think are top tier also.
Top tier? I would agree. It's probably going to be lower, but I would agree. Goldberg is the one that is very iffy to me. Because I think his debut year was fantastic.
It's almost
the
like
debut
the
match?
Yeah. Like, I mean...
So third tier?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously another third tier one. I mean, just awful.
Yeah. Terrible.
August 9th, 1999.
My birthday. Not day of birth. I'm not that young.
You might be. Are you 10? 20? You'd be 20 at this point. I can do math. Chris Jericho comes out after the Millennial Clock counted down for, 3 or 4 weeks. Comes out right in the middle of The Rock's promo, which was fantastic. Completely got belittled, and his facial expressions a little cartoonish. I don't think Jericho really likes this promo himself anymore, as he's gotten a lot better on the mic.
He talked about how it was just long and drawn out.
Yeah,
I remember him talking about that. Like, it was just, it was great if I could have just gotten more to the point, but it's just way long and drawn out.
I like that years later when he came back as the Save Us Y2J thing. He redid this with Randy Orton, but as the face and the weird vest and stuff.
Yeah, I just remember
great debut.
The clock, and we knew it was going to happen that night, but in the back, I'd forgotten about it. Then all of a sudden, would have started like 19 or something like that when the Rock's going. I was like, oh, it's happening. And starting my internet time, then I was figuring it was Jericho, and then it actually was, and the crowd reaction was great for it. And that's what helped. Like, if he was just suddenly, like, he was never in WCW or ECW or anything, and it was Jericho, it'd be like, okay, who's Jericho?
Right.
But people knew him, and it helped a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go a couple months later. Still in WWE, as Taz debuts at the Royal Rumble of 2000, as he takes on Kurt Angle. He was a mystery opponent, and he ends up ending Kurt Angle's undefeated streak. This is one of those where it's going to be really hard to rank, because I think his debut was amazing, and then they did nothing with his career. But I think they did it at the perfect spot. The only other place you could do it was in Philadelphia, but they do it in Madison Square Garden. So everyone in that building knows who Taz is, because, I mean, he's wrestled in the Northeast most of his career. And the moment that logo hits, you just know everyone freaks out. I think, had they been teasing that logo before?
Yeah, the 13 blip was flashing.
So, I mean, people knew he was coming, but so they built it up so well. His debut was great.
Yeah, great debut. Then he was feuding with, I think, Albert and Bossman the next month. Epic feud.
Yeah.
And then the next year he was in the Rumble for, I think, 15 seconds. But yeah, amazing debut.
Yeah.
And I think the little bonus footage of Angle afterwards was like, oh, he was a choke. That's illegal.
I'm still undefeated.
Still undefeated. I was just saying. I was just about to say, was that the ending Kurt Angle's win streak? Because
not according to Angle.
He didn't have.
If you ask Angle today, he might still be undefeated.
Yes.
What do you think?
Great build up, like you said. Just the little blurbs of the 13 and the flash and the orange, and they would have little puffs of smoke come out when they would do that in like middle of a match, or just the build up to it. I mean, was hellacious. The match with Angle was phenomenal too, so definitely worthwhile watch.
Yeah, like if it was a debut in Miami or something, it wouldn't have had the same impact. But they knew their crowd.
All right, then we go on to 2002, March 18th on Raw, as Brock Lesnar shows up out of nowhere with Paul Heyman and beats the crap out of Maven, Al Snow, and Spike Dudley, who are all bigger names than Steve Dahl and the Mauler. But his...
To each their own.
Maybe not Maven.
He eliminated The Undertaker. So
I will give you that. I remember that time.
We'll get to that.
It's down the
later
road,
date.
folks.
Thanks, Jeff.
That story's going to be great to tell. The one thing I remember mostly about this is that double power bomb he does to poor Spike Dudley.
God.
Spike went through a lot of stuff. The only thing I thought that was worse than a double power bomb to Spike was when Les Resistance took him from inside the ring and we're going to like double power bomb him to the outside onto a table, but unfortunately the only thing that hit the table was his head, and it only hit like this little part, and it took the chunk out of the table.
Yeah,
that was brutal. What do you guys think?
Poor guy. Yeah, that was amazing debut. Like, I hadn't heard of him. I think I've heard the name, but I never saw him or how jacked he was. And when he came out, it's just another one of those, like, this guy is going to be something. The next big thing, obviously. But yeah, poor Spike. That guy... Like, because I remember seeing a clip on the internet the other day of Undertaker just chokeslamming him over the top rope, flat back to the ground, and God, Spike doesn't get anybody over the way he could take a bump. But
hey, you know what? I'm going to say this right now. Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame. Put Spike Dudley in the
right
Hall
now.
of Fame. The dude deserves it for what he did to his body.
He's put himself through a lot. For me, Brock Lesnar, again, not a huge fan of him. I like him today, but I liked him more then because, yes, he was a powerhouse, but he eventually was able to be defeated. Like, they didn't make him a beast or whatnot. So, I mean, the debut, huge, impactful, like we were saying. Definitely one of those guys you saw and you're like, he's going to be something to watch. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one shortly after, June 27th, 2002, John Cena.
Who?
I don't know.
No.
I can't see him. Can you see that? I can't read that.
That's a bad joke.
It was horrible.
But like Taz, debuted at an open challenge against Kurt Angle. This was the ruthless aggression thing. So, of course, Kurt Angle asked him, why do you think you have the right to face me? And ruthless aggression. And came out with it. I'm so glad he went to the jorts because him in the tights was just weird.
Creator Wrestler 3.
Yes. With Creator Wrestler 4 entrance music.
Yeah.
He and Brock Lesnar debuted the same year, went completely two different paths their first year. Lesnar goes on to win the championship at SummerSlam. Cena was, I looked this up, and I forget now, but he was in a feud with somebody really little.
I remember he was rapping with.
Well, then he went
Bull
in. He
Buchanan.
became a rapper later, but it might have been Buchanan and somebody or Steve. Yeah, it was Stevie Richards and Bull Buchanan that he started feuding with. A little different than The Rock.
Yeah.
But the debut match, I mean, he loses, but he gets the whole pat on the back from The Undertaker backstage, and they made him a big stint.
Huge debut, like you said. Just one of those things where don't know the name for nothing, but he holds his own against one of the best in the business, Kurt Angle. Damn near pins him like 4 or 5 times. Comes out of the gate, catches him off guard. Angle has to beat him with a roll-up, I think it is, or a schoolboy, or a small package, something like that. Something you wouldn't expect Kurt Angle to do.
6:30.
Yeah. And just takes Angle on back, and super good match, super awesome debut.
Yeah, it was a good debut. I like the whole open challenge or mystery. I think that's like the Undertaker's work too, because mystery guy, it's got to be something. But like when they do an open challenge and like nowadays it'd be like Kane or Big Show coming out, like don't care.
Rey Mysterio for the 30th time.
Yeah, but like if someone new you haven't seen before, it's like all right, I need to pay attention to this guy. And it worked out.
So this is really tough. We need to tier these guys. And I don't think they can all go in the top tier, but I know Jericho is.
Yeah,
that's given.
What about Taz, Lesnar, or Cena? Do any of those make the top tier?
Cena, I don't think so, because it was good, but it wasn't like it didn't have everyone buzzing like some of these other ones did.
Are they all second tier?
I think so.
I could agree there.
Okay.
We could shuffle the order later, but I agree.
Yeah. This one, we just wanted to get a TNA mention in, but this was big as far as the signing that TNA was able to get.
Big fat oily guy.
September 20. Oh God. I'm done.
Yep.
September 24th of 2006 at No Surrender. The big debut was Dixie Carter coming out and saying they signed Kurt Angle because that's how you want to make the big splash. But on October 19th, he came out. Samoa Joe had stolen the title from Jeff Jarrett and wouldn't give it back and was being a big old bully. So Kurt Angle came out with the whole slow rising thing that Rey Mysterio used to do, but it came up so he didn't jump. And then he came out and confronted him and then was named the special referee for the Samoa Joe Jeff Jarrett match, kind of what Bret Hart did at WCW.
Mm-hmm.
But just the name alone going to TNA at that point, they'd gotten Christian, I think, was their other big acquisition. But nothing was compared to Kurt Angle. It's a third tier for me, but had to get a TNA thing in there, right?
Yeah, I think it was their biggest pay-per-view to that point, like buy rate-wise, because Angle and Joe, that was just a really good angle, and it built up and delivered on pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Then they went to that 48 other times, I think, but
yeah, I mean that's kind of what WWE's doing right now, right?
Oh yeah, I want to see more Brock and Braun squash matches, please.
How many times has AJ Styles faced Randy Orton?
Not nearly enough. So.
No,
Okay.
no.
No, we need 78 more of those.
Did you see any of this?
I did see some of that. Again, it wasn't. He didn't really wrestle for any period of time, but it was huge to see him sign with another company because eventually he was cleared to wrestle, which was huge because nobody thought he was going to be able to wrestle again after he just kind of quit and left the business for a while.
I'm glad he got. I mean, I don't know how clean he is, but I'm glad he got mostly clean.
Yeah.
You could tell he did for a while because like he looked so. I mean, it's gonna be mean to say, but scrawny compared to what it was. But
Yeah.
it
Oh,
was
yeah.
more because he was getting healthy and wasn't taking all that crap. So I mean, that was good.
Yeah.
Talk about a surprise debut, The Shield, in Survivor Series of 2012. They attacked during the main event, which was Cena versus Ryback versus the champion CM Punk, and they totally did not help CM Punk retain his championship as they triple power bombed Ryback. This was, I mean, they had all wrestled in NXT, but this was before NXT was really a thing. I don't even watch it on WWE.com,
I think
or
it was
was
like
it a YouTube thing maybe
I think it was just online, like
somewhere.
FCW.
It definitely
It
It
wasn't.
was still FCW at the time. It wasn't even NXT.
Yeah, it definitely was not what NXT is today. But very good debut, I think.
yeah, it worked. I remember Rollins as Tyler Black, and Dean Ambrose I actually saw at a house show, and he lost to Santino. That was an epic match beyond belief, but it was Ambrose and not the Riot Gear outfit, but the crowd actually dug him for that, and just got the heel heat for it. So I knew he was going to be something. And Roman Reigns, I never heard of, and turns out to be probably the best out of the bunch, much to the chagrin of everyone else who didn't want him to be.
Yeah, again, for everyone that is mad that Roman Reigns became a thing, go back and watch The Shield for like the first year.
Yeah.
Every time Roman came in there, you freaked out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You did.
Survivor Series, when he eliminated everyone on the team pretty much, the crowd loved it.
He was the pretty faced badass that
Yeah.
everybody loved at the time. I mean, you don't get too many of those anymore nowadays.
And he was the Vince edition. I'm trying to remember who Seth and Dean wanted.
Oh, there was someone else too. I almost want to say it was like even Axel re-debuting again or something, or something like that.
I don't remember. How about another Survivor Series debut? And this was huge.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved this debut. It went on a little too long. Survivor Series 2014, Sting finally makes his debut in a WWE ring during the Team Cena versus Team Authority match, where he came out and attacked Triple H and then lays Dolph Ziggler over Seth Rollins. I think my favorite story from this, if you watch the what is it? The WWE Untold Stories or whatever that show is called.
Yeah.
That they just released like a month ago, where it was about Sting and Seth Rollins' match where Sting gets hurt. They talk about this debut, and Seth Rollins says that if you look closely, he and Dolph Ziggler have a conversation during that whole thing, because they were geeking out and having to lay there as still as possible, acting like you're dead, and your idol is 5 feet away from you, making his debut, and the crowd's going nuts, and Seth and Dolph are like, "This is amazing." That story is awesome. That's why I love wrestling sometimes, is hearing, or at least hearing the backstage stories.
Yeah. The
so
backstage
good.
story is almost better than actually the matches itself. I remember hearing one, like, it has nothing to do with any of this, but it was Duggan comes out and he's in like a rumble, and Taker gives him a rub, or he gives Taker the rub or something like that, and he just repays the favor X amount of years down the road. It's just kind of funny how hearing those little bits.
I think we were bowling during that. I think Jim was with us too.
Yeah.
And like we were between every shot, like, because his music hit, we're like, sweet, a Sting. Crap, I'm up. Chuck a strike real quick, run back, and then I think Jim and Billy had to go too. Like, oh, we're still trying to watch this, and everyone's cracking up at us.
I think
It's
I
live!
Randy brought the laptop or something.
Yeah,
and-
Randy's on the other side of the house with headphones on, not listening to us, and we're trying. I just think I said like, "Oh, Goldberg came back." It's like, "Yep, I'm sure he did." I think that's what
He did a few years later.
Yeah.
Any of these top tier?
Oh.
Sting or the Shield?
I think like Sting's, like you said, was a tad long. I think that's near the top of second tier.
Okay.
And Shield, I think there's a lot of second tier for that.
Okay.
But
Which will be really hard to rank here in a little bit.
I
yeah.
was going to say, yeah.
All right, let's go with two more This one's a little, again, cheating because he was part of WWE, because NXT is part of WWE as much as they didn't want it to feel that way. But Kevin Owens' main roster debut on May 18th, 2015. He shows up for Cena's U.S. title open invitation. But unlike Sami Zayn and some of the other names that had already answered the call, Kevin Owens goes, I don't want to fight you. I don't want the U.S. title. I have the NXT Championship. My title's better than yours. And then attacks Cena from behind, gives him the pump-up powerbomb, and that iconic moment where he's stepping on the U.S. title and holding up the NXT title. A few weeks later, they fight at Elimination Chamber in a non-title match where Cena gives Owens the big win, and Owens is off to the races. He also had a great debut in NXT, but I think this one was better.
Yeah, I remember him against Cena and thinking, oh, they're going to at least make Owens look good, and then he wins. Like, he won. Because I've loved Owens forever, back in the Kevin Steen days at Ring of Honor with him and Generico, like I said before. And because he's just has something that they're trying to get out in their own way, which is failing right now, but he's got it. And as long as and he was showing it during his debut, and it grabbed people in a heel manner, which is still hard to debut and get people to pay attention. And it was great.
He's one of those guys that he is so much better as a heel than a face, but he's so good as a heel that the moment he is heel, they cheer.
Yeah.
So then, what's the point?
Right. I think he's pulling off the face right now just because he can still talk trash and make people love him when he talks the smack. So, I mean, he could go either way on that. The debut, again, like you said, I watched the debut that he had in NXT, and then to see him jump over to the main roster for that quick debut there with Cena, those were both phenomenal matches because he ends up having a rematch with him again at the TLC pay-per-view later on, like the next month.
We won't talk about the result of that. But.
Yeah, no, that could have been way worse.
One final one, Royal Rumble 2016. It finally happens, like Sting. We always wanted AJ Styles to end up in the WWE, and we thought it was going to happen 5 different times.
Yeah.
But he kept going to Japan or whatever. Every time he was leaving TNA, we were like, all right, he's got no.
Yeah.
Comes in as the number 3 entrant, which I thought was fantastic just because it was still really early on in the match, but he wasn't one of the first 2. Bad camera work for whatever reason. We saw Roman Reigns the whole time.
Yeah.
Instead of the Titantron where they were doing it. Went 29 minutes before eliminated by Kevin Owens. What do you guys think?
I thought it was great. Like, I heard the rumors that it was going to happen, and I think...
they officially said he signed, like, that week.
Yeah, I think we actually bowled...
Or 2 weeks before.
Pro Bowl or something, so of course, had to wait. But and watched it, and, yeah, it was great reaction, crowd. Like, he's one of the... He's not an indie guy by any means anymore, but he was known for TNA, New Japan. He was like one of the biggest names to ever be in WWE for an extended run. I think he had popped in a time or two to job on Jacked or Metal or whatever those were. But
again, huge. Remember watching him first ever in TNA. I don't even remember his WCW days until later on they brought that little footage out. But yeah, huge crowd impact. You hear the music and then you don't know who it is, but you can kind of tell it's got that kind of southern drawl, hip hop noise to it. So you're kind of, who could it be? Who could it be? And then Phenomenal pops up on the screen and everybody loses their absolute
I wish we could have saw that.
Yeah,
it would have been cool.
Show that
been
later on down the road.
Where are we putting these 2? Owens and Styles.
Like, looking at our list, I think they're almost ahead of even, like, Hogan.
Yeah. So, both of them top tier then?
Yeah.
Top tier, bottom, yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes it really easy to start.
Yeah.
We had to cut 3, and we only put 3 in the bottom tier. So, Kurt Angle and TNA, Goldberg, WCW, Dudley Boys, WWE. You can go away. Okay, so now we have our 12, and sadly we have them only in 2 tiers. So, let's look at this. Well, now the new bottom tier. Hulk Hogan and WCW, Taz, Brock Lesnar, Cena, Sting, and The Shield with their WWE debuts. I want each of us to take one to put in the bottom. So one that you don't think would rank the top. Jim, we'll start with you.
I'm going to pull Hogan over.
Okay.
Just because, like we said...
I can't disagree.
You look at the actual debut, and it wasn't much of a match. if you don't look at the match itself as being the debut, him just showing up at the parade.
That might be the easiest one. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
you're welcome.
Like if it would have been, obviously I know why they did it, hyping
Yeah.
Hogan, because he's gonna change the business. But if it would have been something like Flair against Sting, and then suddenly Hogan shows up to help, it would have been one of the top.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you said, it makes more sense business wise because you want people to buy the pay per view.
Yeah,
So you build that up. Doof, take one out.
Cena for me.
Okay.
It's just like it was good, but I remember it happening and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like this is gonna be something. I figured he'd be like trying to think of a present day star, like even like how Owens is now. Like he's got to a point, and then it's gonna stop, and that's about it. I didn't see him as 20-year reign of just being their moneymaker.
Okay, for me, it is between Lesnar and The Shield as far as that new guy debut, because Taz, his reaction at Madison Square Garden was too good.
Yeah.
Sting, of course, made the whole place go nuts. So which one of the new guys had the smaller impact? I think it was The Shield. I think I'm going to move The Shield over and keep Lesnar up. So now we need to rank. I think Hogan, we all agree, will be 12th.
Yep.
Okay. Cena or The Shield? These were our two selections, so you, sir, get to make the tiebreaker.
Ooh, okay.
No pressure.
None at all. No.
None.
You could ruin this whole list right now.
Who's the best friend now? I will say Cena above the Shield.
Okay.
Because, again, we didn't quite really know who any of those guys were at the time. They were all pretty brand new, but his singles match to me stood out more than just a run-in.
Yeah.
So I will give it to Cena on that. And just the match itself was phenomenal.
No, I think I agree with you. I think it's the same thing with Goldberg. If we did debut years, I think the Shield would be higher than Cena because Cena took a little bit longer to really get going, and Shield, they put over the moon as far as that teamwork together. You could not beat them 3-on-3, no matter what they put together. Do you agree with that? Okay, so the next three, Taz, Lesnar, and Sting. Doof, which one hits the bottom, do you think?
I think Brock.
For the same reason as the Shield.
Like you knew it was going to be something, but the crowd reaction wasn't there to put it over the top like the other two.
And I hate to say this because I'm a huge Sting fan. I think Taz's debut was better than Sting.
I think so too.
Oh yeah.
You think?
Again, like when you saw Sting's music, you knew who it was. Like there's no denying. Like there's a flash of the Crow, there's a flash of the Scorpion, so it was given who it was.
And then they showed
Taz. You don't really know who it is except for maybe the tie-in with the orange from ECW days. That was about it.
Well, there was this tattoo as the logo, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he had that armband. Just the
Yeah.
13 was added in there for WWE sake.
And they added a Z.
Yeah, and this is
The extra Z.
All right, so our top six: The Undertaker, Kane, The Outsiders, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles. We're doing a little opposite this time. I want each of us to take one that we're going to put in the top three.
Okay.
So, Doof, you can start this time.
Jericho.
Okay, Jericho is an easy one. Kane's another easy one. I'm taking him. Since you took the easy one last time, you get to figure out which other one between Taker, The Outsiders, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles is in our top three.
I'll give it to The Outsiders. Because,
Good.
again, that was just a change. I was waiting to say something and have somebody argue with me. No, The Outsiders, because again, it changed the business. You knew who they were, but you didn't know why they were there, just like they kept saying and all that. So
It would be like if you're watching the World Series and suddenly they're like Clayton Kershaw's in the Yankees dugout all of a sudden. You're like, what is happening? This isn't...
I would be happy. No, it sucks in the World Series, and that's what we're worried about.
They get him for the regular season.
Yeah. You're benched now, sir. All right, Undertaker, Owens, Styles. To me, personally, I'm between Undertaker and Kevin Owens as far as the bottom of those three.
Yeah. I think Undertaker to me.
Undertaker's
Yeah.
lower. Again, great first year, won the title the next year. Kevin Owens had a good first year, too.
Yeah.
But his was a little bit more segmented because he was still doing the NXT stuff. And they had to kind of wait a little bit because Sami Zayn had hurt his shoulder, so they had to keep him down there longer to finish off that feud. Kind of what happened with Ciampa and Gargano, but that happened for the best.
Yeah.
Not to say that Ciampa's neck injury was for the best, but he would have been on the main roster right now and probably
they both
feuding with
up.
Shinsuke to go for the IC title where you'd see them once every 3 weeks. So AJ Styles 4th.
Yeah.
So Outsiders 3rd, I think, is
I think so.
the easy one.
Yeah.
Out of that. Because Chris Jericho and Kane, I have my pick. I want to hear your guys's.
Are we picking top or
top
second?
one?
Top one.
The top between Chris Jericho and Kane.
God damn. Like for the whole time I was thinking Jericho forever, but like just the story behind Kane was so impactful too. But I just it's personal preference. I just still think Jericho though.
So your vote is Jericho.
Yep.
I'm saying Kane, just because the build-up alone itself was monumental.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you like I said, the storyline. Your brother's not dead. What more could you? Your brain just goes in that moment, and you're just like, okay, so we know who he is, but we don't know what he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people get upset because was it JR or Lawler? We're going, it's got to be Kane.
And Vince.
Like Vince.
Was it Vince?
Yeah.
Vince was.
Oh,
"It's
Vince
gotta be
was still
Kane."
doing it.
It's,
You're
it's
right.
gotta be Kane.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, you spoiled it. Like, we all knew
Yeah.
at that point. I think I agree more with Jim. What was great about these two is they both had a build-up. One was the clock, one was the whole brother storyline. I think what put Kane over the top is Jericho is a great debut, and getting to go verbal sparring with The Rock is always great, especially in '99 where I think Rock was near his peak.
Yeah.
But Kane, the Undertaker's face as he's just, what is going on? So that's going down, and just the impact of it. I think Kane is number one.
Could you imagine though, like if all the storyline that's Undertaker's brother, they never said how big he was. If they would have had like Spike Dudley be his brother,
Right?
It would have been
If it was a joke the whole time.
He never grew.
Gilbert comes out.
All right, so we have our 12. We want to know what your list was. Did we miss anybody in our top 12? There's a lot of debuts, of course. So what do you guys think? Just real quick, from 12 to 1, we have Hulk Hogan, The Shield, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Sting, Taz, The Undertaker, and then our top 5 is Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, The Outsiders, Chris Jericho at 2, and number 1 we have as Kane. So again, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the fun YouTube stuff. Let us know your list and what you thought we got right and what you thought we got wrong. And we'll be back here next week with another episode here on, well, it's The Wrestlers Dozen now, but we got a surprise next week.
Sorry, Carlito.
I forgot about Carlito. Let's redo this episode.
Yep.
See you guys.
Have a good week.